Well, greetings everybody. Welcome back to yet another video on another um, Apple device. And I finally, at last, I finally have an iPad mini, first generation on iOS 6. My second ever iPad mini, because a few days ago I did a video on this iPad mini, second generation, that's still running iOS 10. But I finally have a first generation mini on iOS 6 that I've always wanted. I've been wanting one of these for so long, and I finally got one. So, first of all, before I prove to you it's on iOS 6, I was so happy that I managed to find a black one, the nice charcoal black that was on the iPhone 5 and iPod Touch 5th generation, only for 1 year. And yeah, since the iPad 4 didn't have any special colors, unfortunately. But I'm not sure why they took the charcoal away and brought it to the space gray or like layer finish a year later with the iPad Mini 2. And I believe they did a revision to the iPad Mini, took away the charcoal black and made it this color as well. So, but I just want to compare first. So you got the Mini 1 in black versus the Mini 2 in black and the iPad Mini 1 revised. So, right there. I did almost buy one of these a couple of months ago in white, but I got greedy with my offer. I offered $200, the seller wanted $225, and it's like, is it really worth the extra $25? And then it sold like a week later. It's like, oh man. So, and maybe I'll get an iPad Mini 3 or 4 on its original iOS in white or gold. We'll see, because I know there are some brand new sealed. The only thing is if I do get one of those, the battery could be bad, and then I would have to take it to a repair shop. They would charge me a lot of money, and that's just the only thing. Is it worth trying to get a brand new device? But that's retro. So but we'll see. But enough said. Let's do the iPad Mini, which this is beautiful. Like, this is my second ever iPad Mini, and iOS 6 as we see. Let me just enter my passcode, and there we go. One small disclaimer is it is engraved. It says property of Wardtown Public Schools. Some of my iPads are engraved. My iPad 2 on iOS 4 is engraved, and yeah, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. Some collectors and some Apple buyers really do care if they're engraved or not. But this one is engraved, and I don't really care. But it is. I was hoping to get one on an early version of iOS 6, but it is running iOS 6.1.3, just like my iPad 4, and it's only a 16 gig Wi-Fi. Just like most of my iPads. So, the only two cellular ones I have is this iPad Mini 2 here running iOS 10, as I showed in a recent video. And then my iPad Air on iOS 7 is a cellular model. But other than that, they're all the lowest storage capacity, so unfortunately. But that's okay. But really cool. Finally have an iPad Mini 1 on iOS 6. I've been wanting one of these for so long. These are pretty hard to find. I can't believe I got an iPad 3rd gen and a 1st gen on their original version before this. But really cool. I might try to sync music on here. We'll see. What's this test Siri? Hey Siri, what is the score of the Steelers game?
The Steelers and the Titans are tied with 13.
They're tied. Thursday Night Football is going on right now. And hey, it knows it. I'm pretty impressed that Siri in iOS 6 and iOS 5 on the iPhone 4S actually still can say up to relevant information. So really cool. Let's just see if the App Store works. It should work. Maybe. I will maybe try to get some apps on here. But the iPad mini was one of the most sold iPads of all time. As well as the iPad mini 2. The first two generation minis did really well. They were widely popular in businesses, stores, and schools to use for education. And pretty much when the iPad mini 3 and 4 were the latest, you never saw any iPad minis 3s or 4s. You only saw like mini 1s and 2s. And literally the only place I saw mini 3s and 4s was literally at the Apple Store or Best Buy or in demo stores that would, they have retail stores that sell electronics and Apple products, like Walmart or Target as well. But like literally, like the iPad mini 1 and 2 were probably the most two sold iPads ever. Everybody loved it. And it obviously doesn't look like it's going to load on the App Store. But it does still work. Maybe I'll try to get some apps on there. We'll see. Just some basic ones, because obviously compatibility is very small now. So, but let me just do a website load. Let's go to NFL scores. So there we go. Titans Steelers right now. What about let's just load Apple.com. iPhone 15 Pro. There we go. When I do get an iPhone 15 Pro next year, I will do an unboxing on it. It'll be my first ever new Apple product that I'll unbox on this YouTube channel. I'll make sure when I get it from T-Mobile next year, I'll say, I'd like you to keep it sealed in the box so I can make a YouTube video on it. I do have the 14 Pro right now, so obviously it's still really good. And I'm going to still keep my 14 Pro as my main iPhone for a long time. But I will, but as a serious Apple collector, I unfortunately need the 15 Pro for my collection. So I will sometime next year be getting that one, and I'll do a video on it. But until then, you will be seeing older devices. But and obviously I'll be doing more gaming videos, and I'll be continuing my Apple collections, and I already did the iPod. So if you want to go ahead and check that video out right now. But other than that, again, this thing was beautiful. And the slogan for this iPad, it came out, I think, November of 2012 alongside the iPad 4 and the iPod Touch 5th generation. So that was like a month after the iPhone 5 came out, which is the iPhone everyone was waiting for. Because when the iPhone 4S came out, everybody thought that it was going to be a little bit bigger, like in the size of the iPhone 5. Because when the CDMA iPhone 4 came out, a lot of people already had an iPhone 4 on the AT&T network, the GSM network. So a lot of people that already had an iPhone 4 already had one. And then a lot of people just that were still rocking the 3GS wanted to wait because everybody thought that the 4S was going to be the 5. So, and then when the iPhone 5 finally came out September 2012, it's like, okay, we finally have a bigger screen. So, and that was basically the best iPhone, I think, of all time. I think the best selling one was the iPhone 6. But basically, as I've said in other videos, if literally Apple stopped making Apple products after the iPhone 5, iPad 4, iPad mini 1, iPod Touch 5 on iOS 6, everyone would be very happy with what they had. With this beautiful design. Like, I love seeing the old iconic iOS legacy versions on these older iPads and iPhones. Because that's what Apple once was. But yeah, one of the most popular iPads, and the slogan was every inch an iPad. So, meaning it was still an iPad despite being smaller. And like this thing is pretty as hell. and you can multitask easily. You got your music. I think my cousin had one of these for the longest time. He got one on iOS 7. He didn't want the Mini 2 or the Air. So he got the original, and then he eventually upgraded the Mini 4, I think, after the first gen. So when iOS support stopped for this, and I believe he might have the Mini 6 now. I don't know. Maybe he got one of the larger ones, but these things were literally made to last. But anyway, let me just type a note because the old skimorphic. Let's just type a note. iPad mini on iOS 6. There we go. I love it. Because the old style notepad, you had the old clock app, I think. Really cool. And really cool. You had reminders, which looked a lot different then, right? It is beautiful. And I even said in my last iPad video when I previewed the Mini 2, right? This thing is beautiful. I mean, I never even held an iPad Mini before this one, and now I have two of these. And yeah, and even on iOS 10, this thing is beautiful. I mean, it is slower, but I know it originally shipped with iOS 7, but I already have the Air on iOS 7, so I don't think I need a Mini 2 on iOS 7 because they really were exact same counterparts, just different sizes, versus the iPad Mini 1 and the iPad 4 was a different story. So technically the 4th gen was more powerful, but a lot of people went for the Mini 1. So, just because they could finally get an iPad at a more affordable price. So, but anyway, pretty much it for this pretty historic video. And when this iPad was the latest, I was only in the 4th grade, I think, in 2012, 2013. Because I remember the 5S came out when I was in 5th grade, and the 6 came out when I was in 6th grade. So, and that's really when I started getting into Apple and the Apple history, and slowly started collecting. But yeah, but until I'm on my next video, which I have some amazing videos coming out soon. But until then, peace out, everybody.